Good morning, Troy over at Wooden Wonders by Troy. I wanted to take a time this morning to go over how I cut my slabs in my workshop. We have our garage, which is about a 30 by 30 that we've had soundproof. We've got heat, we've got air conditioning, filtration systems to keep it as safe as possible and comfortable. So when I'm going to cut, we've got a big 4 by 8 table that we've created for all of our projects. And I will show you in a different video how we built that. But basically we do all of our cutting and prep work and sanding work in this area here. What I'm going to do now is when I get a project, whether it be a river table, or whether it be a traditional table that I'm going to cut and clamp together to make it wider, because generally speaking, the pieces of wood you're going to get are going to be between 12 and 15 inches wide, or maybe a little less than that even. Rarely you're going to get something that's going to be wide enough what you're going to want without paying an enormous amount of money. So that is something that I will need to do. We're getting ready to make a hickory bar top for a client. So I have a series of pieces of wood that I have purchased. I get mine from a local source that has it vacuum kiln dried. Vacuum kiln drying is a step above a regular dehumidification kiln, which is a step up from regular air drying. In my case, I would definitely go with kiln drying of some sort because the wood has been stabilized. It is as dry as it's going to be. You're going to get a lot less cracking and checking later. If that wood is not completely dry, you are set for trouble. One way to find out if it is dry enough, and I highly recommend that you do this, is to get yourself a moisture meter. There's a variety of kinds that there are. Generally, we'll put the type of wood species because there's different gravities for the type of wood. That way it will rate the wood where it should be. You shouldn't be finishing, joining, sanding wood that's in this area in Wisconsin above 12%. It should be somewhere between 8 and 12% ideally. If it's above that, there's more water got to get out of it. You're going to have problems if you go too soon. I know it's hard not to get started on it, but you're going to have problems later, most likely. So I found out the hard way. I got excited. I got on some stuff too quick sometimes. Before I was purchasing kiln dried product, it's huge. You have problems all the time on it. So if you can find a local source that does kiln drying and you can purchase your slabs that way, you've got a huge amount of problems already taken care of, generally speaking. Wood is still going to expand and contract, but it's done most of it by that time unless it gets in some crazy humid conditions afterwards. But stuff I do is made for indoor use, so it's more control. So I'm going to cut this wood, but geez, I don't want to cut the table as well. So I can either lean it over the edge of this and cut it, and of course it falls down. But a lot of times that doesn't give you a whole lot of stability, or if the piece is too narrow, you can't just let it hang there because it's not very comfortable. You're going through wood, thick wood, hickory, which is super hard. So I have there's regular circular saws, and then there's a worm drive saw. I would recommend a worm drive saw. It is way more powerful, it's more expensive, but just like any tool you're going to get, if you're going to use it, invest as much as you can afford to do or save up for it. Generally a regular circular saw, the stuff I'm cutting here is 1 3/4 to 2 inches thick. It's hard. You'll bog down most saws. So this will go through that. How do I not cut through this into the table underneath there? I purchased it's like pink styrofoam for house insulation. You can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards. The piece I usually get is a little thicker. It is about 1.5 inches thick. And the reason I do that is I set my saw. If you look here, you got a guide on your saw. And now what that does is it allows your saw to raise or lower. Okay? So what I will do is I will set my saw, and hopefully you can see that decently. And I have this unplugged as well. Don't ever mess with any tool unless it's unplugged. It might sound like, oh boy, you're being too safe. But I'll tell you what, it's more than worth it. So what I'll do is I'll adjust the saw so it's through the wood and it's a little bit into the pink. And then I will adjust it here, bring that down so it's tacked. So now when I'm going through here, I'm going through the wood and a little bit into the pink and not into my table. Makes sense, doesn't it? So that's what I will do with that. I will generally speaking chalk lines. In some cases, if I'm using the live edge, I'll leave the live edge on. But if I'm joining a bunch of pieces, there'll be pieces that I have to fill in because I'll make a table maybe 42 inches wide. Well, I need a bunch of these pieces. So I will go through and I will chalk these lines. I will cut all the way through there. I will then take it to the next line. If I'm going to get, like here, there's a crack over here. I can't cut on the crack, so I'm going to try to save the crack. I'm going to cut the crack out, so I'll cut on the other side of that. So now I'll have a piece here, and then I might get another piece here out of this. At that point, I will be taking it on my end joiner to get a good true edge and go from there. And different videos are going to show that for you, but I wanted to just show you what saw that I use. I use a DeWalt, and again, I'm not sponsored by DeWalt. I wish I was, but I'm not. I like the tools. It's not a cheap saw, but it is a worm drive saw, and it will cut just about anything. As I'm going through here sometimes, I will take wood wedges. Let me grab that for you. Shivs. Regular wood shivs. And as I'm going through this, I'm going through here, that wood's going to want to pinch sometimes. So as I get through part way, I will drive these wedges in, and that won't allow it to pinch. So that's how I get from here to there. Sometimes certain grains of the wood tend to pinch more than others. It's kind of hard to predict that, but that's how I cut my pieces up to get them prepped so that I can join a series of those together to make a table. I might do a river table. I might cut this in half, turn these live edges towards each other. There's live edges on both sides here, and then I'll do my river down the center on that. So I hope that helps you. Again, we're new here, so it's pretty basic, but again, we're trying to show you tips that I learned that will save you some time and headaches. So give us a like on that if you would, and if you would consider subscribing, I'd sure love it, excuse me. And let us know if there's other questions you've got. I'll try to do my best to go through and look at that. So just want to take this time to thank you guys for watching. Again, ask questions, put them in the comments below. That way I can kind of answer some things, maybe some things that I missed, because once I get rambling, who knows what comes. You know, it's all knowledge that we've learned, and we can sometimes slow it down if you haven't seen that before. So hopefully that'll help you. That'll save your table, and thanks for watching.